untangles. This is my garage and this is my car. Alright, so the brakes have been completely devoid of fluids for a couple of weeks. I've just filled the reservoir now with Motul 660. This had the highest stated boiling point, both dry and wet, of any fluid I could find. Others had very, very close, but they sort of said plus 316 degrees or 312, which is exactly something in Fahrenheit. But this one said it's got 325 and 205, so which are the highest stated boiling points. So I just filled that up. You want to pump that, Ty? See if I can pump some of it into the system so I don't have to come straight back. Hey, Papa. So this is just pumping fluid into the system. All the nipples are closed. And yeah, hopefully this pressurizes the air and pushes any residual fluid out, to the end of the lines. No problem. So we'll keep that going while I top it up. Stop. Make sure you don't run it dry. Okay, pump. So this is working surprisingly well. I didn't think it would. I thought it would maybe take a little bit in, but not really compress the air that much. That seems to be working very, very well indeed. So much so, just stop pumping for a second. I'll double check for leaks. So it's almost taken a half litre in already. And oh, it's pissing out right here. So yeah, no more pumping. So I better nip that up. Actually, I need some rags here pretty quick. Okay, yeah, that wasn't even done up, that fitting. It would appear I've missed it. So, lesson learned. Check all your fittings before you start bleeding. Alright, start pumping, Toy. Okay, it's still working as far as it's pumping fluid out of the reservoir. Just make sure it's not just coming out the next weak point. But no brake fluid on the ground there. Nothing there. Nothing on the ground there. And it's not leaking here, so yeah, keep pumping. So unfortunately we just pumped about 200 ml of it straight onto the floor, which is less than ideal, but hopefully I still got enough. Top this up. Okay, so it would appear that's close to, keep on, close to, oh no, it's still pumping some fluid out. So in theory, you know, it's compressing all the air that's in the lines and forcing it to the end, to the calipers, any residual fluids, anything else, double check again. Keep pumping, mate. Pushing everything out to the ends, hopefully to the brake nipples. And still pumping some fluid in that line, so well, that seems to have stopped now. So you can stop pumping now. Yeah, now just standard bleeding practices apply. Oh, it's going to overflow.
On the ABC's Q&A program. Mr. Joyce was due to appear on the show after the release of the government.
So the pressure's released back up the lines and into the reservoir. Already lost enough of this fluid. I'd rather not lose any more than I have to. Alright, so I'll start bleeding, and I'm going to start bleeding at the left rear because you want to start as far away from the reservoir as possible. So rear left, rear right, front left, front right is the order in which you should do it, with the brake reservoir on the side. Alright, bleeding commences now. Okay, so 2 steps forward, 17 steps back. We're pumping again and refilling the reservoir because I'm an idiot. I didn't double check my shit, and as a result I paid the price. I had the calipers on the wrong side. I noticed when I went to start bleeding, the bleed nipple was on the bottom. Obviously that's not right. Bleed nipple's got to be at the top so the air goes up. So with the fluid in the lines and everything, I just had to friggin' change the calipers over from one side to the other on the rear. The fronts I did right. So yeah, topping out the reservoir again, lost even more fluids, but it is what it is, and we're okay now, and we'll start bleeding shortly. Alrighty, brakes bled, front wheels on. I had my son jump in the car and put his foot on the brake, and I used a breaker bar to pull up the studs to make sure that they pulled all the way in, and yeah, they're pulled up, trust me. But before we go anywhere, gonna need to adjust the handbrake. So this grommet, this is what this is for. Don't jam your knuckle into that, that hurts. Pull that out. And in here will be invisible to you because you will not be able to see that. Let me get a light. Right here. The adjuster that we saw with the assembly apart. Okay, so that sprocket in there. So now we adjust the brakes, the handbrakes, thusly, 1/15 of a turn at a time. It appears to be all the way that way, which means I'm going the wrong way. So let's wind it this way. What'll happen is it'll bind up on the handbrake. Won't be able to move this at all, and then at which point you back it off, and then you rinse and repeat on the other side. I don't know what you can see, or this is probably not very good footage, so I'll shut this off and do the adjustment. So this is quite difficult to turn now because it's just touching on the handbrake. I'm going to do just the other side, then pull the handbrake on, and then rinse and repeat until I get it just off, once everything's sort of settled. Well, yesterday I had this ready to go. I had the properly reinstalled the injectors and went to plug them in, and the loom broke on the 6th injector as I went to plug it in. So the injector loom is now the mate who's a Sparky for helicopters basically, so he's got all gear to do any sort of wiring connection I need, and he's going to just fix the loom for me, and I'll have it back this afternoon. The pod filter, I've cleaned it up. Simply just put some, it's at the back here, sitting over there, sitting in the sun drying. Just a bit of degreaser on it, like sprayed degreaser over it, and then I let it soak for a couple of minutes, and then rinsed it from the inside out, so as to, you know, push the stuff out in the opposing direction to which it flows in. I looked at a million things on how you're supposed to do it. There's so many different opinions. None of them seem to be right. Obviously, you know, if you go with the sort of the sticky, fluidy stuff that you put on it, you're going to Yeah, that apparently affects these airflow meters for starters. But even if it doesn't, I suppose it comes down to what you want more of, flow or restriction. Restriction being better filtering, flow making more power. I just decided whatever it was would be fine, just cleaned out, so will be more flow for me. So yeah, I can't start it to bed the brakes. I can't put that pod filter on for a few hours. You can make sure it's well and truly dry. We'll just check my to-do list, and on the ethanol side I've still got to check the fuel pump and confirm that it is what old mate said it was, which is a Walbro, something rather big enough for what I want, ethanol friendly fuel pump. If it is that, then no worries. If it's not, then I need to be in the market for a new fuel pump before I go to ethanol. It's not urgent, but I might as well look at it now while I got the time and nothing else to do. So yeah, confirm it is what they said it was when I bought it.